Okay, I wasn't going to do a video. I'm doing a video, Andre, so let's just let Nana talk for a minute. I wasn't going to do a video for a while, right? Because, you know, I'm just going around in circles with this crap, eh? But, you know, I'm back in 2011, right? I'm starting a timeline from the first video of my yard because it took my life over, people. I lived more in the yard than I did in my house. Honest to God. I stopped my sewing because of the yard, right? I turned old looking quickly because of the yard, right? I've been abused many times with the city and the landlord because of the yard. And I was trapped in this house, people. I moved out of Gateway Place in those apartments where I used to do all that community stuff with the kids. 40 to 60 kids at a time. Right? Where, you know, eventually I just left. And then I moved into that fourplex. Right? That had the grow up that almost killed me. And I was only there for a year. So you figure it out. I had John. I actually had all 5 kids, honestly, when I was living at Gateway Place by the time I moved out of there. So when I moved into that fourplex, I had my 5 kids, John and me. So that was 7 of us. We moved in there. Right? That's Brooks, Ciera, Marcaine, ShaMay, Ciera, Tisha, Uncle John and me. Right? And then I moved us into that fourplex. I painted for them. I painted their porch. I painted their foyer, which was extremely high and dangerous to do. And, you know, I did a lot of work for them. I did yard work for them. And in the end, you know, they jerked me around, almost killed me, and kicked me out because I called the city on them because I almost got electrocuted. And it turned out they had a fucking grow up on the property. And the city got involved, and because it was all Mickey Mouse wiring, and that's why I almost got electrocuted, because of Mickey Mouse piping and Mickey Mouse wiring, as they were running a grow up and stealing my hydro, shutting off parts of my suite, my you know, my side of the house, right, duplex, right. They were shutting off the power in the bathroom and in the back room for weeks on end. We had no power because they were stealing the power. They were making us pay for their grow up. And then eventually when I almost got electrocuted, that's when I called the city, and that's when I found out what was happening. And because they got caught, not really, the city let them clean it up and move it out before they fucking moved on to the next stage of making them ground their house and, you know, do this, that by code and all that. But they blame me for it, right? Yeah, okay. So whatever fucking shit that was going on there, I swear people followed me into this house because after I moved... Andre, are you in there? Yeah. Can you just turn down the TV for a minute? Because after I moved into this house and I realized that the same color paint was in the halls downstairs as it was in that freaking fourplex, I knew that they had the same kind of workers working between the houses because they're Punjabis, right? They more than likely go to the same temple because we're all in Surrey, right? So they go to the one up on what is that called? Scott Road and 72nd. I know the temple. That's the one that Wally took me to with the non-profit with those mean-ass looking freaking board directors staring me down and telling me to fuck off because they didn't give jack shit about what I had to say about the community because they already figured it out for themselves what they were going to do with it, which was not very much, people, except for maybe for themselves. And that's just the bottom line, okay? Because fast forward to this day, I'm now doing this and I'm looking at this crap, going through what I'm going through. Because when I moved in, so I moved out of Gateway Place in December of 2008, right? Moved into the fourplex, right, in December of 2008. And by 2009, I moved into this place. So I was only at the fourplex for 1 year. And I lost money because of everything that was going on there, right? And it cost me like over $2,500 to move. By that time, Auntie Joan moved over from Victoria, so I had, well, Brooks ended up moving out in October, and I moved in here, and I got the house in November, and I moved into December. But I basically kind of had Ciera, I had John, I had Marcaine, ShaMay, Tisha, and myself. So that's, again, still 7, right? And then I rented out a room to a homeless young man. That was 8. And then Andre came. That was 9. Okay, the point is I went from the apartments to a grow up that costed me money, that I lost money, right? And then I had to move, which costed me almost $2,500 to move everybody, right, with their belongings and shit. And then I moved in here. Within a year and a bit, I couldn't move out, people. I just couldn't. I couldn't afford it. I had too many people that were dependent on me. I was cooking for everybody, for crying out loud. You know, I was feeding Joan and John every day, you know, and the kids and stuff, because they were still young in those days, right? Sure, they cooked a little bit for themselves, but I was still, you know, and then I had to get in that yard, people. It was disgusting. It was the worst fucking nightmare you can even imagine. And, like, you know, I didn't realize how geeked up I was over the trauma that my landlords put me through with their leaky faucets, sparking fucking electrical outlets, leaky porch. You know, you don't live outside, take it as is, deal with it, right? We're not fixing the faucets, they're underneath the sink because we just did the electrical outlets. Yeah, but they should have been done before I moved in, so I had to wait. You know, I was in the yard for the second year this time around by 2011. I already did 2010. I just wasn't recording it, people, because I didn't really know what kind of YouTube videos I was going to do, right? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I brought the camera out in 2011, talking about how I was kind of being sabotaged by Punjabis. I was being sabotaged by Punjabis, people, because they showed so lack of interest in the community outside of what benefits them as a collective. That's their community, right? Anybody else in between? I don't know, people. Let my videos be the judge. Seriously, because I didn't deserve what I got. I really didn't, but I couldn't afford to move, and that was the point. So I was in it for the long haul. Foolish to think that I could actually repair the yard and bring it to a state where my kids could go in there and have an enjoyable time with it, in terms of whatever, you know, go in the greenhouse, plant gardens, you know, go to the fire pit, roast a hot dog, walk on some fucking grass, even though I had to transplant it from other people's properties, and even then it didn't grow, you know, torn down houses from those properties, and even then it didn't grow because there wasn't enough soil, because what my backyard was nothing but landfill. There is a difference, people, between landfill and soil, okay? But I didn't know that in those days. All I knew is I couldn't pack up and move my family again. I had to buy all the new dishware, cookware, furniture, everything. I bought all that shit downstairs that Marina and my son threw out. All right? Not my son. My son didn't buy a fucking thing. He lived with it for years and years and years and years and years and never complained about it until that girl moved in and decided that she didn't want it, and she wanted empty fucking cupboards so that they could start fresh, as she threw out my shit. Okay? But that's a different story now, isn't it? Because when I moved in, I had to give Joan. I know Joan had her problems and, you know, and whatever, and, you know, Marcane was downstairs and he was, you know, he was in college by this time, and, you know, and Ciera was kicking around, and you know, but Joan, it was for Joan, people. I did it for John and Joan. I got this place for John and Joan so that Joan and John could have a semblance of a marriage before she just had to go into long-term care because she was so sick. And I couldn't have her in my living space because she was stealing and always causing trouble. So when I seen this house, I seen the 2 separate suites. They said, take it now. Don't walk out the door, because if you do, you might not find it when you get back. So take it now. We'll never raise the rent. Stay long as you want. And all I was thinking about, well, there you go, Joan. Now you have your perfect little fucking environment to have your perfect little end of marriage with your husband, with the safety of my family looking after you. Those are not bad intentions, people. So now I'm spending money furnishing it. Furnishing it. You understand what I'm saying? And then I'm now spending money in a yard to make the yard better for everybody, so that we could live for as long as we wanted and get back our life because we had already lost so much at that fucking fourplex with those other Punjabis. You understand? And they sure in the fuck weren't helping with the non-profit. That's for sure. If anything, they were sabotaging it back then. And I just didn't realize it, people. But I realize it now. And I'm not afraid to say it because that is the truth. Okay? When somebody comes to you with federal fucking trademark names and they bust their butt and they spend their own money to promote a good cause and you treat them like trash because they don't look like you, there's something wrong. Not with you, but with the people that do that. Or even if they look like you, but they're in the class of an Eleanor Gilding, the epitome of the middle class that's so freaking right. But all you have to do is look at fucking Marina's mother to see how fucking right they are when they're rolling up from a 2-hour drive to pick up fucking garbage, quote unquote garbage, from Judy's yard. You have the audacity to call my shit garbage, but yet you got your mother rolling it up to fucking pick it up and take off with it. And then giggle like a fucking 5-year-old kid as if, oh well, so what? I get slapped on the wrist. Doesn't stop me from doing it again. No. I like being naughty. I like being a laughing, a naughty little girl. Yeah, okay, whatever. Whatever, people. The world is sick. The people in the fucking world that have money, I swear, they're the sickest of the sick of all sick. Okay? I have never met such sick fucking people in all my life as I have with those that are money-grubbing, hungry, freaking scoundrels that will do anything for money. Okay? Including murder. And then capitalizing off of it through illegal organ harvesting and everything else that they do. Okay? So anyway, you know, even though I was crabbing on in these videos, because I'm going through these videos, and I am, people. I'm typing it out. I already started. It's frying my freaking eyes. It's frying my freaking eyes. It won't get me anywhere. But that fucking man, that mean man, that thinks I'm stupid, well, maybe he is right. Maybe I am stupid. But, you know, I'm just going to read what I can write when I put my mind to it. And we're just going to come in random, okay? In other words, there's a whole lot of shit here that I've already written. And it's frying out my eyes, and it might make me go blind. But you know what? We can't be surprised, because working in this yard sure in hell instigated my blindness. And that's the point. Because there was no reason for me to be out there for the number of hours and days, months and years that I was. And then to be treated like a dog at the end of it. Okay? With that freaking whip on my back, well, you better not rock the boat, bitch. Because if you don't get out there and pick those fucking morning glories, coming this spring, coming this summer, we're coming back with the city to say it's too freaking green. And you guys, all of you, including your son, and you know what I think they think he is, the way they're treating him, are out of here because it's too green. You didn't cut back the weeds fast enough to our liking. Yeah, okay. Anyway, Judy used very little hydro and water in the initial stages of her move into this house. Because I rented this house on November 20th. Of 2009, and I didn't move my family in until December of 2009. And by December 24th of 2009, the pipe fucking clogged. And then we couldn't do dishes upstairs, downstairs for almost 2 weeks. It was well after freaking New Year, something like January 6th, 7th, in around that time. From December 24th. Because the excuse was nobody is working because it's Christmas time. As if Punjabis celebrate fucking Christmas. Yeah, okay, sure. No, it was just an excuse to make us miserable. That's all it was, people. And to put us in our fucking place. And then it was New Year's. They couldn't come by because they were too busy celebrating fucking New Year's. So here we got everybody downstairs washing their dishes in the bathtub. You've got me washing my dishes in the freaking bathtub. With how many people? 8 people in this house, including Joan, doing no laundry. Because we couldn't do laundry because of the one pipe. that got clogged, which was a problem before we even moved in. But they failed to tell us it was a problem, right? They just didn't know when it was clogged, when it would clogged, and it just so happened it clogged on December 24th of me moving in from December 15th with my whole family. Once we started using the hydro, all the freaking outlets started sparking. Who does that? Who rents out a fucking house where each and every freaking outlet, upstairs, downstairs, was sparking as soon as people started using hydro? Huh? Well, I went through that with my family in this house, and then the fucking pipe clogged. Okay, so yeah, but I didn't know that though when I first started coming with my shelving units. I came with Marcane. He was loading up the car with me, old Betsy, the shelving units and the boxes and stuff. I'd come, we'd put the fucking shelving unit into the corner. I'd run my power bars, plug them in, get them ready so that when I come in with the big load, right, I can just work around it, right, and then I'd unpack the boxes into the shelving unit. So by the time the big truck everything came in, and I just started. And then after everybody was here, that's when I realized, holy shit, there's a problem with the fucking power bar sparking, the outlets are sparking. It didn't matter where it was. If it was an outlet and something was connected to it, it was sparking. So now I'm having to call my landlord to fix the fucking outlets, and she's like, ooh, right? And then, like, oh my God, people, that's why she didn't fix the fucking faucets the first year, because she was complaining that she had to fix the fucking outlets. And I was too fucking stupid to see what the fuck was going on. And yeah, I was getting fucking angry about it, but you know what? At the end of the day, I was stuck. Okay, I couldn't afford another $2,500, $3,000 to move my family again into another freaking dump. You understand what I'm saying? So I stuck it out here. Not that I seen this place, quote unquote, as a dump, but the way the owners treated it, it's a dump. Okay? It's a house of fucking horrors. Okay? Because this shit's not funny. It's not. There's nothing funny about it. And so Judy used very little hydro and water in the initial stages of her move. Okay? I wasn't turning on the water. I wasn't using the electric outlets. I was just moving in shit. And then the family moved in. And then, boom! All of a sudden, every fucking outlet sparking. Like, what the hell? You go to use your power bar and you get zapped. Like, come on, man. Something's wrong here. So when she did have the electrician finally come, I had to take everything off my shelvings, move out the wall unit so the electrician could go behind the fucking wall unit and repair the freaking outlet and replace it. And then when he went downstairs, he never did do it. And then the kids were complaining that they were still getting shocked. So I had to phone her up. And then she got another guy to come and fucking do it. And then she'd go as if it was my fault. Yeah, okay. However, she did set up power bars in multiple areas behind wall units and did unpack boxes to put those items on the wall unit shelves. But she was unaware that all the electrical outlets in the house were sparking when in use. Once the whole family moved into the house on December 15th of 2009, it wasn't long before everyone began to notice electrical outlets sparking when trying to use them. It took 3 attempts. One upstairs, I can say, was fairly successful. There was a couple that had to be redo, but for the most part, it was a big chore, though. I had to move all my fucking wall units that I had already positioned in place with power bars, where I had to take everything out of the shelves so that we could basically move things, move the wall unit away from the wall. Like, does that seem fair to you as a tenant? You move your stuff in and then you have to move it away from the wall because the landlord failed to do the fucking maintenance before you moved in? Same thing with the pipes. She left it for over a year with all the faucets and stuff and the leaky sinks and all that shit. Why? Why, people? To get us fighting, to piss us off. Yeah, as she got me in the fucking dirt, telling me to clean up the yard, throw away my stuff. I'm listening to these videos. Even in those days, she was telling me to throw my fucking stuff away. But she expected me to cut back the fucking blackberries and the weeds and all that other stupid crap. All that other stupid crap. I couldn't. I tried it. It didn't work. The only thing that I could do was build over it, people. In order to control it. And now they've got my son out there smashing everything up, destroying everything, including compost boxes. So all those weeds that I managed to control somewhat is going to come back with a vengeance. And that will be their excuse to come in with the too green freaking angle again. It's too green. You got too many fucking weeds growing in here. What are you doing? You're not working hard enough, slave. Get out there. Oh, wait, no, sorry, we gave you your last warning. It's time for an eviction now because you didn't fucking weed our yard for us. Yeah. So nothing's changed. I just didn't see it back then. I didn't see what they were doing because they were already plotting and scheming with the housing market to go corrupt with it, to start overinflating the housing cost of rental units because they were already kicking out people out onto the streets. And that's why I was out there hardcore whenever I could, fighting the good fight for the people that were falling through the cracks, getting kicked out of their basement suites or wherever. Because, you know, right? You can't even get a basement suite now. It's all taken over by immigrants and fucking the UN soldiers. Good luck finding a basement suite. It took fucking Rhea something like 4 months, 5, 6 months to get a place. And she went from shelter to shelter with 3 children. You do the math on that one because there is nothing available anymore. Because it's too expensive. Because these landlords knew what they were going to do before they even did it. All I knew is I couldn't afford to spend another $4,000 to move again into another house that was going to have a whole lot of problems in it. Could have been electrical, could have been plumbing, could have been furnace, could have been windows, could have been fucking roof, it could have been anything. You don't know what you're going to get when you move in these houses. Right? At least in this house, I knew by the time she fixed it, the electrical outlets were good. I was still waiting for the faucets to be done, though. I was dealing with leaky roofs and like not roof in the inside of the house, but roof on the porch and the seam with it dripping on the stairs that goes down between the 2 suites because I had no inside stairs, people. So much crud was coming into my house because of that shit. And they wanted it to be wet because they knew that the bottom of the feet was going to be tracking mud and everybody would be getting fucking mad. She had some dude come, do some Mickey Mouse shit, couldn't speak English, some family member. It was a joke. It was a freaking joke. It never worked. It never was intended to work. Right? Because she's too busy telling me to clean up the yard and throw out my shit and cut back her blackberry bush, along with the rest of her freaking weeds. Right? She was doing then, people. I forgot. I completely forgot how she was treating me back in those days. Only reason I'm remembering and I'm talking about it is because I'm watching these videos and I'm taking notes. Because I told you, I'm fighting for my life here. I'm fighting for the life of my grandkids and my kids. For, you know, wherever they go, it doesn't matter. This is a sickness that we're dealing with. And I don't know what people are going to do to stop it. Like, okay, for example, we know what the city of Surrey is doing to to us as a family, right? You think, like I said, they don't want Andre building a fort in the back with his little friend, you know, in his own yard, being productive and, you know, being responsible and being creative and actually learning a skill. Fuck no, they want him out in the streets being a little hoodlum, right? Because otherwise they just would have left us alone and not been so much of a drama king about the damn shit, or at least because all of this could have been prevented if my landlord just would have been fucking decent and showed up in the summertime and say, okay, that's it, let's go, let's work on the fence, and now that we're here, let's deal with this fucking pile of junk. What can we do with it? Well, this is the options, okay, let's do it. As if I wanted that shit out there. Of course I didn't. But we know how that ended up out there, because something moved into my basement and evicted me from my fucking basement. after I set it up for Joan and John so they could have a fucking marriage before Joan died. Right? And it never bothered Mark Kane until she showed up. And then all of a sudden, he had a hard-on for everything and hates it. Like, what the fuck is that shit? Anyway, I'm reading this because I'm taking pictures as proof what was going on. I had to put a bloody bucket there to catch the drips that had been dripping for over a year. As it was dripping from the seams where the porch met the roof because they didn't seal it properly when they constructed it. So therefore it was dripping all down the stairs each and every time it rained. And then the kids were running up and down the stairs. Uncle John and Joan were coming upstairs for dinner. Everybody in and out, up and down the fucking track and all this fucking mud. What the hell do you think I was doing? As my landlady has the whip on my back telling me to go outside and throw away my shit, but clean up her fucking weeds in her fucking blackberry bush. And don't forget that famous morning glory. Make sure you pull that bitch. Yeah, you pull that bitch out, because if you don't, it's going to overtake your yard. And by the time I moved in, it had already overtaken the yard, people. And they knew it. Just like they knew there was energy weapons going through my yard. I swear, they knew it, and that's why they were negligent to do anything in their own yard. Because they've got some kind of pact going on here with some government offshoot freaking, I don't know. They're not the ones running the energy weapons. Hell no. They're just giving the permission for it to be done. Because they're getting kickbacks on it. Why do you think my family members have died, disappeared, been kidnapped, whatever, apprehended illegally? Well, come on. There's kickbacks to each and everything that has happened to my family when it injures one of my family members. We don't get the kickbacks. We get death and we slowly shrink in size. But that's okay, because we're easy to replace. All we have to do is put the call out to freaking whatever country, and you're going to have a whole flood of immigrants banging on the door and say, let me in first. Yeah. So I'm like reading, okay, I'm going so, it's taking so long to do this, and it's really frying out my eyes, which is making me even more annoyed. Right? Because, you know, I don't know how much time I have left with my eyes. I don't know if this is the way I want to spend it. But, yeah, even if it's just there, you know, right? As long as it's there. I don't expect anything to come out of it, because they got money, they can hire lawyers, you know, they can buy judges, they can buy the fucking government. Well, they're already in bed with the government, for crying out loud. They don't need to buy the fucking government, because one can't do what the other one does. Right? Without the other one helping them, that is. Anyway, this is number 57. I'm going real slow. Having to deal with failing health. So my health was failing because of this. I didn't realize it, because I always push past it. But I must have realized it that day, because you can hear it in my voice in my videos as I'm recording these things that I sound like crap. I'm extremely stressed out, right? Andre, turn that down. I'm extremely stressed out. Right? And my voice is like, you can hear it in my voice. I'm not well, because I'm working in the dirt. I'm working in the mud. I'm working in fucking algae and sludge and grit and sand and raccoon feces and cat feces and, you know, and just, ugh, everything gross. Okay? And I'm doing it day after day, you know what I'm saying? And I'm doing it for hours and hours. I'd come in so fucking filthy, you can't even imagine. Right? I should have been a mud wrestler for the amount of mud that I was in this yard. Seriously, man, you don't even know. Okay? So, having to deal with failing health in that physical exhaustion is taking over due to landlord negligence, time after time. Well, there you go. I forgot that. I forgot that I had those feelings. I did. Because when I actually started to accomplish things, with the greenhouse being built, the sheds being built, the walkways being laid, Mr. Lace's cat house, whatever, garden beds being made, or whatever I was feeling in those days kind of went away, and I didn't think about it because I had already started to accomplish things. Not to say that I wasn't probably feeling that way then when I was accomplishing things, but maybe not to the depth as I was when I first started out, because I was so overwhelmed and it was just too much for one person. Well, I was being badgered to throw out my belongings, but was expected to cut back blackberry bushes and mow back weeds full of raccoon shit and call it a day, as long as it looked like, quote unquote, flat grass. You couldn't walk in it. It was weeds, muds, raccoon shit, fucking whatever. So you'd look at your yard full of weeds, knowing it's got raccoon shit in there because they like their little latrines, and they do that in weeds that are very tall and whatever. And so you're standing on your porch, you have a family, and you're looking out your back door, and they're like 3 feet high, 2 feet high, or maybe like a buttercup with morning glory, low on the ground, either or. It's nothing but weeds, grit, sand, mud. We know the story, right? And the best that you can do is come with a broken down fucking lawnmower and mow it down and call that your yard. And then go back in your house and clean up the dirt that comes in on the bottom of everybody's shoes as they're going up and down the stairs, because there are no inside stairs in the house. So of course they're going to be in and out of the house because they're my kids. Uncle John and Auntie Joan were coming upstairs for dinner every day. Right? If Joan wanted to make John a little soup, make coffee or whatever, she had her own kitchen. They had the perfect little life down there while she was here. In that sense, it was mission accomplished. Right? I wanted Uncle John to be happy. I wanted Joan to be happy. I found a place that I thought they could be happy in, but I basically had to sacrifice my life for my landlord in order to give them the happiness, right? Otherwise, I would have to pick up and start all over again in a new place, go another $4,000 or $5,000 in fucking debt, and start having my electrical outlets being replaced right along with the faucets, maybe the furnace, could be the hot water tank. God forbid if it was the roof leaking when I moved in, because that's a nightmare. I've been in a house like that. You move in, you find out the roof is leaking, and then the landlord doesn't want to fix the roof and tells you to punch a hole in it, pull out the freaking insulation to find where the leak is coming from. Well, hell, I moved out of that place. I wasn't going to do that. That's ridiculous, but this is the mentality that you're dealing with, though, right? It goes from house to house to house. So I felt safe here with the electrical outlets at least being done. And I couldn't move people. That was the point. And my landlords took advantage of that. They took advantage of that. Having to deal with failing health, in that physical exhaustion is taking over due to landlord negligence time after time. I decided to vent my frustration via the video series in the hope of having enough stamina to see this nonprofit through, never mind still trying to raise my family in a productive manner. No, my family started to resent me because I was doing something that they felt I shouldn't have been doing, because they knew it was the landlord's responsibility, right? That's the first thing. And they couldn't understand why I was so determined to do it, because in my mind, I thought it wasn't going to take that long, even though it took years and years and years and years and years and years and years to do it. But because I never did it before, how was I supposed to know what hard labor in a yard was like until you actually get out there and do it, right? And then, of course, they kept us fighting as a family in general because of the things that they didn't fix, right? Or other things that they would do to keep us fighting, because it usually just related to things not being fixed over a period of years, depending on what wasn't being fixed at that time, or they'd drag it out for years before they would fix it, like those faucets. That's not the first time they drag something out with these faucets. Hell no. Hell no. Right? Like, it's just, they got their game down pat, where they don't have to pay until they absolutely have to. And even then, when they pay, you're not necessarily getting a good service or even a good product, right? So what? You brought a water tank. Well, it's defective. It doesn't fucking work. No, 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 no. Last time, when I moved in, the water tank couldn't produce hot water because it was going out the door before I even moved in. And then eventually they brought another one, and then that one went, because water tanks do that. And then they brought another one in, did a video on it, I'm sure. I got it somewhere in my fucking videos, talking on about how this guy brought some water tank that didn't work, and he had to go get a part, and I was quibbling back and forth with him on it, and he told me it came from Home Depot, because I said, why don't you just get it, exchange it for a new one? Oh, well, Home Depot won't do that, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, can I try and phone Home Depot and see if they will? Turned out they agreed. They said, yeah, the guy can come and exchange the water tank, being that it was our product, but this is a one-time deal, because that water tank, believe it or not, was supposed to go to a property development where you have multiple suites that need multiple water tanks, and that's where that water tank was supposed to be. So how it ended up in my house, don't ask me. And Home Depot couldn't figure it out either. But because I phoned them with a legitimate fucking serial number on it, saying, no, I don't want it. I can't afford to have a hot water tank that's not giving me hot water, because I remember what it was like when I moved in, and I'd work in the fucking yard for hours and hours and hours, be filthy as a dog, come inside, and I'm having a cool fucking bath because there was no hot water, and it's at 2 o'clock in the fucking morning when everybody's sleeping. Because I have to wait. Because it was broken when I moved in. And then finally it just fizzled out and exploded. And then they changed it. And they brought a big one. But after 6-7 years or whatever, it blew its stack and it was gone. And then they came in with this thing that didn't work. The guy arguing with me. And I went, well, let me at least try it. Go ahead. They won't do it. They won't do it. And then when the Home Depot did it, my landlady said, well, she got all hostile with me, as if I did something wrong. I was trying to make sure that she got what she paid for. But she probably had something to do with it, people. That water tank wasn't even registered to this house. It was registered somewhere else. But they brought it here broken. Personally, I think they ripped off the fucking serial number or did something. I don't know. I think something shady happened through the whole thing. So anyway, Home Depot did say they would replace it this one time. Only this one time. Because of what I had to say about the situation in terms of, well, I can't, I just can't cope with a water tank not working. It's just better if you replace it. Please, please, please. And they did. And the technician that did that and my landlords, they were completely aghast. They couldn't believe it, that I actually got it fucking replaced for a brand new one. Now, whether they actually gave me a brand new one, 'cause they did take the old one out and bring something back in. Whether it was a brand new one or not, I don't know. But so far, we haven't had any problems with our water tank. It's acting like a water tank, right? So, but, just stupid shit like that. Like, seriously. First 3-4 years living in this house with a broken down water tank, working in the yard and this crap that was out there, and always having lukewarm baths, never a hot bath. Do you know how hard that was? That was like living in a third world fucking country, for crying out loud. Yeah. Do they care? No, because they want you miserable. They want everybody fighting. It's easier to derail the family if everybody's fucking fighting, and it makes them look good because they're not fucking fighting. Look how good we are as people. We don't fight. We work together. Yeah, exactly. You work together as criminals, man. You work together to hurt other fucking people so that you can say that you work together to get rich. But how do you get fucking rich? By hurting other people. You get to my point, lose as much as I have, worked as hard as I have, been through as much as I have because of these fucking people, and your life is in danger with the rest of your family. One way or another, they are in danger because of the mentality that you're dealing with. You gonna sit quiet on it? What for? What's it gonna get you? Some brownie points with them? Oh yeah, sure. Only for a fleeting fucking moment. Only because they want something out of you. Not because they fucking care about you. Because if they fucking cared about you, they would treat you with fucking decency. You know, they do things with honor. But they don't seem to have honor. Because they're too busy trying to figure out how they can save money to go build an image of honor. Look at the big monster house that we live in. We must be honorable people. Yeah, I wonder how many people lost their lives for you to get that. Because ultimately, this house, 3 lives so far, with 4, maybe Amari, pending, because it was a Punjabi who delivered Amari. Let's not forget that. Have lost their lives in this house. Well, somebody else has always capitalized off of it. With a whole lot of Punjabis running around in there. With the Eleanor Gildings. With the senior union pull. One can't do what the other one does unless the other one helps the other one. That's what Fraser Health Authority taught me and CIBC Bank when Uncle John was medically kidnapped. Fraser Health Authority couldn't do what they did unless CIBC Bank fucking helped them. And CIBC Bank couldn't do unless Fraser Health did what they did to help them. Well, it's the same thing with the Punjabis and any partner group that they fucking partner up with in order to run people out of fucking, like the city of Surrey, for example. Run the bitch out of the fucking house. You know, who cares where she goes? Because we'll just scrape her up off the off the streets and auction off her fucking organs. The ones that we can salvage. Yeah. And anything else they can salvage. Just like they're salvaging my stuff outside in that big fucking bin. Somebody's rubbing their hands, cashing in, and it's a Punjabi. Because my landlord deals with Punjabi companies. Punjabi workers. Yeah. So I was mad in those days, and it makes me mad now. Because I feel stupid for not walking away when I had a chance. And I beat myself up for staying. But realistically, I couldn't start over again. Uproot everybody, including Joan and John, to get another Mickey Mouse house with God knows what problems, with what kind of attitude from the landlord I was going to come into with, as I still hung on to hope with what Mr. Gill said to me. Oh, take it now, stay as long as you want, and we'll never raise the rent. And that always hung with me, and I always told myself if I worked hard enough, long enough, right, and get the yard in order, life would be better. But it never got better, people, because that was never the plan. And I was too dumb to see it. It took 14 years for me to really fucking see it. Do you understand? Okay. Well, I see it now as plain as day. I've decided to vent my frustration via this video series in the hope of having enough stamina to see this nonprofit through, never mind still trying to raise my family in a productive manner. I felt if I could get the yard under control, I was raising my children in a productive manner. But I was inexperienced with the problems that the yard had due to landlord neglect. I had to learn the hard way. Basically, what I talk about is simply a reflection to a larger sentiment of what others, well, it should be other, of what other tenants are going through. You see, that's the thing. What other tenants are going through. You think I'm the only tenant that was gone through this shit? Hell fucking no. I went through this shit before I moved into this house, crying out loud. Okay? I went through this shit before Marcane was even freaking born, for crying out loud. Okay? Like, Marcane doesn't have a clue. And whatever little clue he's got, I don't know, shouldn't give him the permission to abuse his mother because he's angry at the world and he somehow wants to blame me for the way the Punjabis behave. Right? It's all my fault. Yeah, sure. When I came in, the wood was nice and clean. Okay? 14 years later, what the hell do you expect? Give your head a shake. Are going through themselves and or feeling over the long haul. I couldn't start over again. I was struggling just to hang on and stay focused with what I had, for the sake of my family trying to build in stability. But this house was never stable. It was never meant to be a stable house. You see, that's the thing. That's why I call it the House of Horrors. It's a fucking evil house. It was never meant to be a stable house where a family could grow and be prosperous. Okay, that wasn't the agenda. No. And that's what my videos have brought to the surface and has exposed. So in the meantime, we got the city still, I don't know what the hell the city's doing, but apparently that guy, some Punjabi with his turban on, with his long black beard, it hadn't turned white yet, but we know what he's going to look like when he's old, because he was looking at Andre with his evil eyes from his car. Andre said he was glaring at him. I said, well, that's not unusual. Get used to it. Like, how dare you glare at my grandson? What for? Okay, so anyway, that was the city dude. I guess checking up to see what Marcane's been doing, okay? All right? And then I send Andre to Shoppers Drug Mart, right? To go get some cough syrup for Amari, okay? And what happens at Shoppers Drug Mart? You got a couple of Punjabis running around in there. They don't have security uniforms on, but they stop him because he's got his hands in his pocket, because I gave him $60, right? And he's hanging on to the money, right? And he's still young and inexperienced and all that. He's not as confident as I'd like him to be, but I'm giving him chances to gain that confidence. So anyway, he goes buy donuts first. He opens up his bag, he's checking to make sure what do you call it? That he's got the, his change or whatever, because now he's going to go to the pharmacist and ask for cough syrup for Amari, right? Well, these two Punjabi dudes approach him, ask him to empty out his pockets, ask him if he's stealing. They didn't fucking ask him. They demanded for him to empty out his pockets. Okay? He's not even in the store yet, really. So he does that. Okay, they can see he doesn't have anything. So he runs off, he buys the, I'm trying to get, my mouse, I swear, gets hijacked. He buys the cough syrup, pays for it. I guess he loses the receipt, because he does that a lot, and it makes me mad. And then as he's leaving, those same two Punjabi dudes jump out of nowhere, stop him, ask him to see what he's got inside his bag, want to see the receipt, ask him if he paid for it. He said yes. They asked for the receipt. He says, well, he's looking for it. Now it's he's having a little panic attack, right? He can't find it. So he said, well, here, I'll take you to the cash register and you can go talk to the person there and they'll confirm that I just paid for it. If that isn't fucking stalking a 14-year-old in a freaking store, I don't know what is. Okay? And they don't have no security outfit on, nothing. Anyway, I heard about that. He told me. I ended up phoning today, Shoppers Drug Mart. I talked to management. She told me that they don't have undercover plain security guards doing that in their store. The only security guard they have is with the big X on their back with the company name. Can you? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Right? I'm just letting you know what Andre told me. And then he spoke to her, and I guess she's going to look at her cameras and try and isolate these two dudes. Now, whether they're working for the company and she just didn't know that they were on site, or whether they're just fucking Punjabis running around causing trouble, or maybe they were sent after Andre because, you know, we are being kind of gang stalked here by fucking something. Okay? I wouldn't put it past them, people. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't. Because they're mean. On average, they're mean. Mean to the core. Good luck finding a good one that's not fucking mean. The last time I found a good one was the one that came to me in my dream. Right? The one before him was trying to shake me off the rail and kill me. The young one with the black turban, trying to shake me off the rail, was trying to fucking kill me. And then all of a sudden, I've got now another man standing there, like a Punjabi man, with a different color turban on, telling me to sit down next to him. And he's telling me not to worry. I have 2 houses now. And I'm supposed to look after them for him. And I'm like, yeah, but, you know, he goes, no, it doesn't matter. You just look after them for me. He was a nice man, a good man. They're hard to find, people. And that's the honest to God truth. And they don't believe in God. But that one came to me in my dream.